Fantastic. So we'll make a start. So just want to start off by saying Happy New Year, I suppose, everybody, if we can still say that. Welcome to our first Industrial Biotech Innovation Catalyst webinar for January. It is the first one of this year. So if you've not joined us before, our webinars run every month as a lunch and learn style, aimed at anyone who's interested in industrial biotechnology. We've got some upcoming ones for this year, and they're going to be on our University of Manchester events page. So Sam is going to very kindly post the upcoming link so that you can see what the February one is. Thank you, Sam. So for those of you that haven't met me before, my name's Jen Smith, and I'm the Programme Officer for the Industrial Biotech Innovation Catalyst, or IBIC. And we're a place-based impact acceleration account that's funded through the EPSRC, and we're creating an industrial biotech ecosystem across Greater Manchester, Liverpool and Cheshire to accelerate research out of our universities and across the industrial biotech industry sectors to create impact across the Northwest region. And this project is led by Professor Aileen Miller at the University of Manchester, and we partner with the University of Liverpool, Manchester Metropolitan, University of Salford and Liverpool John Moores as well. And over the last year or so, we've had a wide variety of speakers at our webinars from academia and industry. So I'm really pleased to welcome today Dharma, who's the Senior Innovation Development Manager at the Growth Company, along with Marc, Shirman, who is the head of GC Angels. Ranveer Singh was advertised as coming today, but unfortunately I hasn't been able to make it. So thank you, Marc, for stepping in. Marc and Dharma are here to speak to us today about accelerating innovation and how you can access support to solve those real world challenges that you might have. We are going to have time for questions at the end from both Dharma and Marc, if you have any. So feel free to pop any questions in the chat as we go along, or raise your hand at the end. So many thanks again to Dharma and Marc, and I'll hand over to you. We're looking forward to hearing what you've got to tell us about.
Thanks, Jen. Hello, everybody. We'll go through today a little bit about the innovation service at the Greater Manchester Business Growth Hub. But I'll give you a little bit of context first and foremost. We are part of a wider parent company, which is the Growth Company. Some of you might have heard with before. And the Business Growth Hub's remit within the Growth Company, which is a not-for-profit, is to work with businesses and whether business support organisation, but the wider Growth Company exists to make really better life for communities across our city region, whether that's through people, place or businesses. So the Growth Hub, we have a few key priority sectors, key growth sectors. So we're looking at advanced manufacturing, health innovation, green technology, digital, creative and media. And quite often there's some crossover, as you'll see from some of the case studies I'll share with you later on. But we do provide support with funding on the innovation team, very focused on, anything from ideation stage right through to commercialization. But we also have teams that look at people, sales and sustainability as well. We're currently mostly funded through retained business rates and the UK Shared Prosperity Fund. That is coming to an end at the end of March, the current round, but I'll go through positioning for the future in a few more slides from now. So we do like to have really strong in-depth relationships with our client base. So we do have expert account managers who really are here to understand your growth ambitions, looking at how we can, make them into a reality and fully commercialise your offerings. Through that, we do offer tailored programmes of support, and the innovation team is just one of many, from mentoring to workforce development and skills to advanced manufacturing. green technologies. We've got a whole host of different types of sort of support mechanisms, and we'll bespoke that to your needs. And we do get together with you regularly just to make sure that, you know, we are signposting you to hundreds of our ecosystem partners, or, you know, making sure you've got a roadmap really to get you to where you need to be. These are some of the areas that we cover in a bit more detail. Like I said, they've got the priority sectors. We do also work with foundation economy and social third sectors. But the main drivers for us really are around inclusive growth, driving productivity, and creating and safeguarding jobs. So ultimately, our remit is the economic growth of the region. So enterprise in new is really more for lifestyle businesses. That's something that, you know, people who don't want to grow, but they do want to support their families with lifestyle businesses. We've got a support package there. But we do have teams that can help you with sales and marketing. We've got a lot of focus at the moment on internationalisation. So we've got teams there that can help you launch into new markets. Funding, which I know everybody's always keen to learn about. You know, we do help you access the right funding. And part of the wider growth company are our Innovate UK business growth team as well. So the innovation team do work really closely with them. So we do help and access not just our own funding, but you know, looking at the wider funding landscape. And obviously Marc will go through in a bit more detail that investment piece there. But all of this happens without the people. So, you know, we are helping to develop your leaders, helping to develop your workforce, and really, you know, improving your social value along the way. Sustainability, you know, we know in Greater Manchester we've got our you know, net zero ambitions here. You know, sustainability is underpinning everything that we do. So that's something that we like to embed in all of our programmes and all of our companies. But in innovation, that's my team here. So we are looking at creating operational change, developing new ideas, products and services. So yeah, it's quite a large team. So this is quite a busy slide, but, you know, essentially, you know, Greater Manchester is a great place to innovate. It's always been one of the most innovative places on the planet, right from the Industrial Revolution onwards. But yeah, we have, you know, a big team of 25 innovation specialists, and some of those do specialise in health and life sciences. And one of our, I'll go into a bit more detail, but one of our core focuses is diagnostics and genomics. And we've got digital and technology specialists as well. So we've had a big focus on AI, data and advanced computing. We've got our sustainability and net zero specialists, as well as advanced manufacturing and materials. So what we cover is quite broad. So, you know, we do have, you know, everything from kind of knowledge transfer in the universities. One of the big focuses for us is that ecosystem connection as well. So I mentioned we've got hundreds of partners across the region and partners nationally and internationally. And it's around making those connections for you and getting in touch with the right organisations that can help you along your journey. But I'll go through all of this here. It's quite a lot here, but lots around grant funding and around R&D, commercialising your innovation essentially, and really breaking down those barriers and challenges that you've got for entering into new markets, as well as identifying new market opportunities. But the subject matter, you know, we can look at anything from intellectual property, product development, prototyping, and we have a range of R&D tax credit specialists as well, because if you're investing in R&D, you know, we want to make sure you're leveraging as much as you can through the tax system. We do support on bid writing. We don't do the bid writing for you, but you can help and advise and support on that. And really, you know, looking at your research, your product design, you know, looking at testing and validation through our partners, making sure you're adhering to any legislation for your sector, which I know the healthcare is pretty heavy, obviously, and then the internationalisation side. So just to ensure that we can, you know, ensure you're fully commercialised. For us, you know, I say it's around that commercialisation piece, but we do help to accelerate that, you know, through grant funding as well. We have two different types of funding typically available, from what we call revenue funding, which is around accessing facilities, accessing expert advice. So that might be universities, but it might also be private sector as well. And then we have capital expenditure also. which is investing in equipment to help you to kind of fully commercialize your operations. So we do deal with everything from product design, R&D, knowledge transfer and consultancy as well. So looking at the innovation service support, what we can offer for you, and the collaboration and partnering bit, for most of our clients, that's really key. When we look at evaluating the service that we give and talking to our clients, that kind of knowing who can help them at the different stages of their journey is one of the most beneficial parts of our service, and having those strong relationships and roots through is really, really important. That helps them to really improve their products and service quality, looking at taking advances in new technologies, adopting new technologies and driving forward product improvements. So quite often it's not necessarily going from ground zero to a product. Often it's iterative, and it might be improving your existing product and service range. It might also be process innovation as well. So we do a lot on automation and robotics within all sectors actually. So we do help support as well the innovative leaders. So quite often you find yourself in a leadership position, and you might not have a full range of the skills that you might need to take your business up to the sort of next step and scale. So do help and support on that side of things, and we do have a whole bank of mentors from lots of different sectors who can help and support you in that as well. But finance and funding, I think most people are, how can we look at finance and funding to make sure you've got the right option for you and where you are, whether you're, an early career researcher looking to spin out, or whether you're, a company who's looking to develop. We've got lots of different options that we can look at and help and guide and support you to commercialize your ideas and making sure it's viable, and you've got real clear routes through to market. We have got some priority areas. So this is quite a good visual to show you what that looks like. So we've got the frontier sectors that are in our local industrial strategy. So you've advanced materials and manufacturing, clean growth, digital creative and media, and health innovation. But what sits over that for some of our funding, this is our more intensive support, is the AI, data and advanced computing, and diagnostics and genomics, as well as the sustainable advanced materials. All three of those actually sit across the healthcare sector. We've got projects in health innovation in all of those areas. Now our grant funding is currently closed. We've just come to the end of a funding round for both CapEx and revenue, but that will reopen again in April. So we are still working with businesses on the business support element. We are looking at shaping project briefs. We are looking at what else we can help and guide and support with, in the run up to that period. What we don't know at the moment is if the eligibility is still going to be the same and the suitability. So, at the moment we've had this focus on these three key areas. What's in scope within those three areas we expect will probably change a little bit, particularly around the AI, because what was innovative a couple of years ago when we started this programme isn't necessarily considered to be innovative now. And the diagnostics and genomics side of things, I think probably will stay quite similar, but we just don't know. We are waiting on our commissioners and our funders to let us know what's in scope. So it might be worth having a follow-up, maybe sort of beginning part of Q2, so we can give you an update on what's happening there. But we are still open for business, and we're not just about funding. We are here to help and support and get you ready and prepare you. And we can also link you in with our GC Angel colleagues, as Marc will go through shortly, and our Innovate UK business growth colleagues we work really closely with, as well as a whole host of other funding and finance offers we have from our ecosystem partners. So essentially we are, looking at the best fit there for each business. So the support pathway here, we do have, like I said, the business support carries on. So we have an initial meeting with you, and what we do, get you registered on the programme. So all of our support is fully funded. So all of that expertise within the business that I mentioned in that slide previously that doesn't cost you anything, but it is classed as state aid. So, you know, there is a cost attributed to it, but it doesn't cost you anything, which is fantastic. The grant funding tends to be match funded, but it is a flexible fund. So, you know, the intervention rates can vary depending on the client need and ability to match that. And I'll go through some of those sorts of scenarios later on in a couple of case studies. But what we do is an in-depth diagnostic with you to really understand the business, and then we do start and look at putting together an action plan. And that's quite an in-depth roadmap to get you from A to B. And like I said, you know, often it's incremental innovation. Innovation isn't linear, you know, it can be complicated, you know, there's lots of moving parts all at once. You know, we're here to help and support through that journey, and help and bring in further support as appropriate as well for your business. But the flexible fund that I mentioned, you know, it's there to help you accelerate your time to market. So, you know, for example, a lot of our clients would say that, you know, it might take them a couple of years bootstrapping to get from A to B and fully commercialise. And we do see that, you know, having that intervention with the right kind of companies with a bit of money into the business to help, you know, develop those projects and relationships with ecosystem partners really does fast track you to commercialization. So that's what we're here to do, really. And we're not here to disrupt other funds or other programs in the area. It's around funding those commercialization gaps. And so those 3 technology families that I mentioned are where we've identified there were commercialization gaps. So like I said, our commissioners are reviewing April onwards. That may change slightly depending on what's changed gap wise in the last couple of years. But one of the gaps that we identify is a lot of sort of national level Innovate UK grants. You know, having that local accessible grant funding is really helpful. The lead times are quite short, you know, there's quite a quick turnaround. It can really help, like I said, accelerate that time to market. And it's designed to be flexible as well. So, you know, on that front, you know, it's got quite a broad scope. So, you know, where we tend to look at the more intensive funding, that's really geared for these. Some of you'll recognise technology readiness levels in here. We try and remove that language to be inclusive for companies who might not understand what that is, but we're looking really at TRL, technology readiness level 5 and beyond, for the more intensive. We do have smaller innovation vouchers for before that, so depending on what stage you're at, we'll match the funding with you and match the support with you as well. So, but ideally for those technology families, so the diagnostics and genomics, for example, we are looking to move you from 5, hopefully up to 9. But even if we get you, you know, up that TRL scale, we're happy with that. Especially in the healthcare sector, we know there are long lead times to commercialise over many years. So, you know, if we can move you on a little bit, we're happy with that. So, the R&D pathway, you know, it's not dissimilar. Some of it's quite similar to the support pathway. The thing is that we're looking at here is kind of unlocking those collaboration opportunities and pulling in partners to do that wraparound delivery as well, and hopefully, you know, developing long-term partnerships. So, you know, some of the universities that we introduce our client base to, some of the partners in the ecosystem, and some of the private sector partners, you know, that they are very much, you know, looking at long-term collaborations, which is fantastic, because we do know that companies that engage with universities tend to do much better and commercialize much more quickly than ones that don't, and are much more likely to be globally competitive as well. So we know the stats back all of this up. But yeah, as like I said, you know, we really are looking at trying to get you to commercialize. So we're looking at launching those new products to market, services, process innovation, and ultimately creation of jobs in Greater Manchester. So this is phase 1. You can probably double this now because we're coming to the end of phase 2. But in phase 1 of this project, we supported over 900 companies, and we supported over 400 collaborative R&D projects. that grants awarded is about 4 million now, 4.2 I think it will be by the time we're finished. And yes, several hundred companies. And you look at all the jobs as well that we're creating, the improved productivity, that knowledge transfer from the higher education sector into companies, and the amount of new products and services we've launched as well. That's just in phase 1, so we've got a whole repeat of this in phase 2 as well, but we are still collecting those impacts, so we don't have the stats as yet, but I will do when I update you later in the year. So here's a case study. So Alderley Lighthouse Labs. This is, and none of these are my clients because they're with the healthcare specialists, but Alderley Lighthouse Labs are looking at the diagnostic testing, and they actually were based over at Alderley Park, and they decided to come into Greater Manchester to really leverage the ecosystem here and the kind of support that they could get here, and it's all around their new approach to personalised medicine. So we awarded them a £47,000 grant. It was towards a project that was £122,000 in total, which is really focused on developing and commercialising advanced genetic testing techniques. That fitted into an overall £2 million investment in their new lab in Greater Manchester as they move forward. And you can see, the orange squares at the bottom here, that off the back of that, they're forecasting 590% increase in their turnover. They're expecting to create three new jobs. I think they have created some already, and they're also off the back of a £47,000 grant. That's a really good outcome for us. So these are the sorts of projects we are looking to support companies with and spin out. I'm just going to move on to this one, Health Connect Global. So this is a company run by a doctor who really was getting quite frustrated with the amount of administration that was, in the care planning processes. And he created a whole care intelligence platform to automate a lot of this, to really free up clinical time of clinicians, time for healthcare workers, and improving patient care as well. So it's really simplifying that, very data-led project. And you can see there we gave them £69,000 grants. That was done over 2 phases, partly in phase 1, partly in phase 2. And with that's really giving them £400,000 increase in turnover they're forecasting. And also as well, I mentioned earlier about speeding up that, accelerating that kind of time to commercialisation. We reduced that development time by 6 months. And we're expecting we'll have 5 local jobs as well. And interestingly, this project was shortlisted from more than 17,000 applicants for the best health tech solution of the year 2025 at the Health Tech Awards. And I mentioned earlier, that with the technology families, quite often there is a crossover. So you may be in health innovation, but actually you're looking at developing an AI data-led kind of platform. We're finding that across multiple sectors, particularly the last couple of years have been phenomenal for companies adopting tech into their operations and creating new products. Legan's Healthcare is a smaller healthcare company based in Bolton. Again, they were looking at using technology to support care professionals, looking at the real world challenges of their work. And they created a groundbreaking virtual reality platform to help support that. So, it was a £31,000 grant, so it's not huge, but we are expecting their profits to increase by £110,000, and they're looking at £500,000 year 3 their revenues, and 2 new jobs. So from that perspective, it's really great to support a local company, making healthcare workers' lives a little bit easier on the ground there through use of VR. So there are 3 case studies. I know we're doing Q&A later, so I'll hand back to Jen and Mark for the next section.
Brilliant. Thanks so much, Dharma. That was really interesting. I think people on this call it'll be great just so that they know how to access you, how to what support you've got. Really, really interesting. So thank you for that. Brill. So, Marc, are you happy to lead us into the next section?
Yes, sure. Let me try and share the right slides. 1 second.
That's great. Yeah, we can see that.
You can see that, great.
Perfect.
Okay, so I'll just introduce who we are and tell you a little bit about where we invest and the stage that we typically support businesses, how we then, through the portfolio, try and get them through to the next either stage of investment or event, and where our focus sits, which really is aligned with Dharma's and the wider growth company. So I'd encourage you to look at the values that sit across the growth company, and I'll reference our specific website at the end of my session, and also show you how to apply through to through to our investment process. But GC Angels, we've been doing this for 10 years. We're typically the first institutional investor, so first kind of non-friends and family investor that contributes to your capital raise. We invest equity primarily, but can also do convertible loan notes and other type of instruments. But effectively, when you can't get bank finance, you've exhausted the kind of friends and family around credit cards and personal loans, that's when we step in. We don't take up your SEIS or EIS allowance because we're an institution, so we're not an individual. The angels that we introduce, therefore, can co-invest alongside us and benefit from the attractive tax rates that sit around the SEIS and EIS investment structures. And we have a collection of angels with various backgrounds. Typically, what we find is those that have made money in technology, software, B2B SaaS, for example, want to invest in B2B SaaS. And those that have made money in pharma and biotech want to redeploy and come on board sometimes as a non-exec advisor or a non-exec director to the company alongside their investment. So when you look at the stage that we focus on, you'll see the kind of fourth or fifth block down. GC Angels positioning is at that really early pre-seed and seed stage. So we often, as I said, find ourselves investing alongside angels, whether that be friends and family, but also alongside the likes of Dharma and the Innovate services through grant funding. What we don't typically do is invest at the later stage of venture capital when the market is a bit more mature. There are a few more players, and you're starting to possibly look at debt finance alongside your equity finance. So at that kind of startup to growth stage, and different people have different delineations or definitions of what that is. But typically we see those startups at 1 million of revenue, and kind of further on from there. But our definition of where we invest is, as I said, at the pre-seed and seed. So just try to capture that quite quickly for you and then show you some of the other logos of other investors that we invest typically alongside. So the first column is that pre-revenue or pre-product. So we have investments in university spin-outs in all varieties of sectors. So it's because we're a generalist investor, where the company is raising up to £500,000. They don't necessarily have a fully formed product, so they can still be in the R&D phase, in the development phase, in bringing that product to market. They might have a minimum viable product that they're testing with a couple of pilot customers, but that will also mean they're possibly pre-revenue. And we are happy to look at those type of opportunities alongside angels and some of the other investors. Deep Bridge you'll probably be aware of. We see quite a lot in the medical device space and biotech space alongside them. After that, we focus on the seed stage. So that's when you're generating your first revenues or forecasting to generate your first revenues in the next financial period, and you're trying to understand the product development roadmap and how that fits into your kind of go-to-market strategy. How are you going to sell that product into your customer channels, whether that's directly to businesses, via intermediaries to the NHS or to consumers directly. And typically we see companies requesting raises of between £500,000 and £2 million at that stage. And we'll invest alongside the likes of the logos again below that that green octagon, I think it is. Praetora and DSW Angels or DSW Capital. We typically are investing around the £150,000 to £200,000 mark in those round sizes. So you typically see us at less than 50% of the round, but we often are asked to lead the round in terms of setting the valuation principles around the legal terminology of the subscription agreement and the shareholders agreement, and also kind of being that first investor on your book build, on your list of people that you can soft circle to say, well, we think these guys will commit if other people will also invest. And often we find that's quite transformational in terms of us acting as that catalyst to be the first 150 or 200 in a 500 raise. It gives you that little bit of momentum that we think helps you then go and approach the rest of the market to build that confidence in raising the capital that you require at that stage of your business. Once we've invested and before we invest, we work with a whole variety of partners, as Dharma's already mentioned. This is just a small selection, but I didn't want to crowd out the slide with too many logos. You'll probably be familiar with quite a lot of them, but I guess the point of the slide is to show you that there's capital that we put in, but we also put in that focus to help you progress into the next phase of your business, whether that is, as I said, testing the product with commercial partners or exploring more research and development. There's a whole host of kind of access through the front door, whether you come through the GC Angels front door or with Dharma or other aspects of the growth company. The growth company employs 1,400 people, and it's rare that we wouldn't be able to find somebody to help you with one aspect of the business. We are particularly focused and proud of the kind of diversity that we have acquired through the portfolio makeup. So over half of our portfolio actually is businesses that have been female founded, and over a third have come from ethnic minority backgrounds. And that's a big focus in terms of our ability to unlock access to capital from areas of the market that have historically struggled to access capital, whether that be through their business networks or just their own personal networks. So we're particularly focused on that. And as I said, looking to support that makeup of the portfolio going forward to ensure that we're well ahead or even market leading in that composition versus the rest of the market. In terms of our track record, as I said, we've been doing this for 10 years or so, invested about £40 million across 63 transactions, frequently the most active investor in the northwest of England. We're expanding our geographical remit to the north of England, and we co-invest with innovation funding to the tune of about 70% of our investment. So within the biotech, therapeutics and pharmaceutical space, we recognize the patient profile of capital, at 7, 8, maybe 10 or 12 years, and that doesn't phase us. And we recognize that at this stage, early on in the life cycle of the business, that we're going to be co-investing alongside that innovation funding, and we're an investment partner for Innovate UK, so we're very used to that process and how to unlock that additional capital and ensure that you'll be able to achieve the follow-on capital that often the companies at the stage that we see require. So if I just stop presenting that and move on to our website, if I can find that on my screen. Yeah, here we go. A lot of what I've been speaking about is on this website, and you can kind of read that to your heart's content at your own leisure. The bit that I wanted to draw your attention to is, instead of looking for investment on this side, if you click on this Venture Forward tab, the process that we're now undertaking to assess the volume of opportunities that we see and filter them appropriately is through this accelerator program called Venture Forward. The next cohort application is now open. It is going to be in Leeds. We ran the first one in Manchester at Campfields, just at the bottom of Deansgate. But the Leeds one will be at Platform, so it is, for those that are northwest of the Pennines, it is a short train journey, but you'll land effectively at the destination in the train station. It's a 6-week program. The last time we did this, we delivered it on a Monday, so every Monday for 6 weeks, and we cover everything from how to get your company investment ready, the data room that you require, including a pitch deck and financial forecasts, to get access to additional capital, how to access investors, and the type of communications and that both written and verbal that we expect to see you deliver to them, what your legal construct looks like and how you can navigate the legal structure of that investment, acquiring a term sheet, a shareholders agreement, a subscription agreement, and then on to completion and what the post-completion monitoring looks like and the growth strategies thereafter. So we bring in partners from the growth company, but also professional services partners, ex-founders and current founders from our portfolio to talk to you. This is the last cohort. This is the picture of them. Ranveer, who was supposed to sing, I'm circling if you can see my mouse, but if not, he's in the middle. I'm on the far left, tucked at the back. But you can look at this and see if it's a right fit for you. And there's an apply here link now, so you click on that, and that takes you to our standardized form for you to fill in, or the links down here at the bottom. So I'll pause there, conscious of us talking at you quite a lot and you wanting to probably ask some questions and conscious of time. So I'll hand back to Jen, and you can pick up the Q&A.
Brilliant. Thanks very much for that, Mark. It was, lots of information, and I'm sure really, really useful. We've obviously recorded this session as well, so this will be on sort of our IBIC YouTube channel over the next few weeks. So anyone who's watching later will be able to pick it up as well. So right, anyone in the room, does anyone have any questions that they'd like to ask either Dharma or Mark?
You can always ask us later on if you anything comes up, of course.
Yeah.
I'll put our contact details in the chat as well.
I did notice on Mark, when you shared that website, one of the sort of companies that have been working with university, I did notice a familiar face in that picture. So I think we have had, yes. Yes, we've already got a bit of engagement there with you guys. Oh, there he is.
Hello. We've already started that conversation. So yeah, it's look, it's exciting for him, and he brings a different dimension to the cohort. What I think he's found most useful is the peer support from the other 29 founders that obviously look at life and their approach to financing slightly differently to perhaps how he's looking at it. And I think that a big part of the opportunity to join a cohort of founders gives you that community. It's quite a lonely place being a founder or